Hello, it's me, the ukulele teacher, here to teach you how to play the song One Day I'll Fly Away, as featured in the 2016 John Lewis Christmas ad. So, grab your uke, make sure it's in tune, and get ready to play One Day I'll Fly Away. Just in case you haven't heard the song already, I recently recorded a special Christmas version of it myself. So be sure to check that out first so you have a rough idea of what it'll sound like when you've learned it. These are the main chords that you'll need for the song. If you already know them, skip ahead now. To play the chord of D, put your first, second and third fingers on the second fret of the fourth, third and second strings. And the chord of D should sound like this. To play the chord of G minor, put your first finger on the first fret of the first string, your second finger on the second fret of the third string, and your third finger on the third fret of the second string. And the chord of G minor should sound like this. To play the chord of E minor, put your first finger on the second fret of the first string, your second finger on the third fret of the second string, and your third finger on the fourth fret of the third string. And the chord of E minor should sound like this. Now there are lots more chords in this song, but most of them only appear once or twice, so what I'm going to do is take you through the song line by line and teach you them slowly. Because it is a nice slow song, all I do when I'm playing is just play one downstroke on each chord. So let me take you through the song right now from the very beginning, and I'll start to break things down when it gets a bit more complicated. 1, 2, 3, 4. I follow the night, can't stand the light, one day I'll fly away. Okay, so those are the first few lines and they're pretty straightforward, but from here on in it gets a bit more difficult. The next line is B7 sus4 to B7 to E minor 7. Now spoken out loud, those chords are a bit of a mouthful, but when we break it down you'll find out that it's not that difficult after all. To play the chord of B7 sus4, bar the second fret with your first finger. That means you push down on all four strings at the same time. Then add your third finger to the fourth fret of the third string, and the chord of B7 sus4 should sound like this. And then to play B7, just lift up your third finger and leave your second finger on the third fret of the third string, and B7 should sound like this. And to play the chord of E minor 7, just put your first finger on the second fret of the third string, and your second finger on the second fret of the first string, and the chord of E minor 7 should sound like this. So that line will sound like this. Leave all this to yesterday. Then for the next line, you play D minor to D minor slash C to G sus4 to G minor 7. And again, it sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but if you learn the right fingering, we can make things a bit easier for ourselves. So to play the chord of D minor, put your first finger on the first fret of the second string, your second finger on the second fret of the fourth string, and your third finger on the second fret of the third string. And the chord of D minor should sound like this. From there, to play the chord of D minor slash C, you lift up your third finger. Then stretch your little finger up to the fifth fret of the first string. And the chord of D minor slash C should sound like this. To play the chord of G sus4, you'll need to know the G shape. To play G, put your first finger on the second fret of the third string, your second finger on the second fret of the first string, and your third finger on the third fret of the second string. And the chord of G should sound like this. And from there, to play G sus4, just add your little finger to the third fret of the first string, and the chord of G sus4 should sound like this. To play the chord of G minor 7, bar the first fret on the first and second strings. Then add your second finger to the second fret of the third string, and the chord of G minor 7 should sound like this. What more can your love do for me? And then the next line is C sus4 to C diminished, back to C, to B flat minor, to F. Now that really is a bit of a mouthful, but again, I'm going to break it down to make the chord changes easier for you. To play the chord of C, just put your third finger on the third fret of the first string, and the chord of C should sound like this. So to play the chord of C sus4, you go back to that C shape, but you add your first finger to the first fret of the second string, and the chord of C sus4 should sound like this. So it's C sus4 to C diminished, Now C diminished is a really tough chord. You keep your third finger on the third fret of the first string, then add your first finger to the second fret of the second string, then your third finger to the third fret of the third string, and your fourth finger to the fifth fret of the fourth string. And the chord of C diminished should sound like this. Now I'll be the first to admit that that is a really tough chord to play. So if you're struggling to hit it, then you can cheat a little bit and just basically play a G7 shape but slid up one fret and make sure that you don't play that fourth string. There it'll sound like this. And to play the chord of B flat minor, just bar the first three strings on the first fret and then add your third finger to the third fret of the fourth string. And the chord of B flat minor should sound like this. To play the chord of F, put your first finger on the first fret of the second string and your second finger on the second fret of the fourth string. And the chord of F should sound like this. So put it all together and that line should sound like this. C sus4, C, C diminished, C, B flat minor, F. When will love be through with me? Then the next line is the same as the previous line we just played. D minor to D minor slash C to G sus4 to G minor 7. Why live life from dream to dream? And then the next line is B flat to F to D minor to A7 to D minor. And dread the day that dreaming ends. And then the last four lines are lines that we've already played. There's just one little extra bit to learn with the A7 and A7 sus4. To play A7, just put your first finger on the first fret of the third string, and then to play A7 sus4, put your second finger on the second fret of the third string. A7 will sound like this, and A7 sus4 will sound like this. One day I'll fly away, leave all this to yesterday. Why live life from dream to dream and dread the day that dreaming ends? So let's put the whole thing together and play it through nice and slow. Just one downstroke on each chord. I follow the night, can't stand the light. One day I'll fly away, leave all this to yesterday. What more can your love do for me? When will love be through with me? Why live life from dream to dream and dread the day that dreaming ends? One day I'll fly away, leave all this to yesterday. Why live life from dream to dream and dread the day that dreaming ends? And that's how to play One Day I'll Fly Away. I've been the ukulele teacher. If you have any more requests for your favourite Christmas songs, then let me know in the comments below. Until next time, I love you all and I wish you the best.